My name is Kathleen Smith, and we thank you for joining us today for this historic recognition of the dedicated individuals who, through their commitment and conviction, were at the forefront of civil rights. Throughout the park, the historic markers describe the evolution of civil rights in our community and our university. At the northern boundary, the pergola shelters photographs and brief bios for the 9 activists who had remarkable impact on the University of Louisville. They are Ann Braden, Dr. Rufus E. Clement, Dr. Lucy Fribert, Lyman T. Young Johnson, Dr. Eleanor Young Love, Dr. Joseph H. McMillan Sr., Woodford R. Porter Sr., Wilson Wyatt Sr., and Dr. Charles Henry Parrish Jr., the scholar we honor by this dedication. The pergola in the center of the park highlights Dr. Blaine Hudson, UofL's former dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. We invite you to take a few minutes to read about these impressive leaders and the impact they had on our city.
Earlier this month, UofL's Board of Trustees took action to recognize the university's leadership in civil rights. So on this day, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'm proud to announce that we have authorized the naming and the dedication of this park, Dr. Charles H. Parrish Jr., a compassionate activist who indelibly changed the character of the University of Louisville by being its first tenured African-American faculty and the chair of the Department of Sociology.
It was the summer of 2005, and I had received an invitation from Kevin to join him at the Simmons College at Dumannil. I knew Kevin, I'd been to his church, but I wasn't really that close to Kevin at that point. But it was an interesting visit because he talked about the history of Simmons College of Kentucky. And he talked about his vision for the future. Several months later, I invited Kevin to our campus so that we could continue our discussions. And as we finished our discussions, I said, Kevin, there's an area on our campus I want you to see. And he had not visited the Charles Parrish Court, but he had talked about the history of Simmons and the important role that Charles Parrish Sr. and Charles Parrish Jr. had played. And he was really moved, actually moved to tears to see the courtyard that we have on our campus. As Larry has said, we're here today to, again, honor Charles Parrish and to make this piece of ground here, this integral part. You saw the students passing through here, a major area on our campus, Dr. Charles Parrish Freedom Park from this day forward. Charles Parrish Jr. was the son of Charles Parrish Sr. and Mary Parrish. Charles Parrish Jr. graduated from Central High School. He earned his bachelor's degree in mathematics from Howard University, a master's degree in sociology from Columbia, and a Ph.D. in sociology from the University of Chicago. Dr. Parrish served on the faculty of Simmons University from 2001 to 1921 to 1930. From 1931 to 1950, Dr. Parrish was a professor of sociology at the Louisville Municipal College, an all-black division of the University of Louisville. Later, when Municipal College was closed in 1950, as Larry said, Dr. Parrish became the first African American on our faculty at UofL and the first African American to chair a department at a predominantly white school in the South. Dr. Parrish published nationally scholarly articles on race relations. He was a renowned scholar, not just in Kentucky, but throughout the nation. Diversity, social justice, and respect for all individuals are core values at the University of Louisville. They define who we are at the University of Louisville. They are one of the 5 tenets of our 2020 plan at the University of Louisville. As I'll speak a little bit later in the State of the University address this afternoon, In 2002, shortly after I began as president, I was made aware that we had a street on our campus that was called Confederate Place. Under Mordine's leadership, and I've seen Mordine here, under Mordine's leadership, we asked the campus community for suggestions to rename that street. And in a very short period of time, Confederate Place became Unity Place, and that's the area right back there where our fraternities and sororities are located. At the same time, we began the process of creating what in recent years has been known as Freedom Park. We were able to receive some planning funds from Governor Patton, he was in office at that time, to dramatically change the character and the message conveyed by this piece of land, the very land where the Confederate monument has been standing since 1890. Later, under the leadership of Kathleen Smith, the Bashir administration provided us with $1.6 million to follow through on our vision for creating Freedom Park. This land where we stand today includes, as Kathleen said, vignettes which describe the civil rights struggle in this community and this state, and pays homage to the outstanding civil rights leaders in this community and state. And today, as Larry has indicated, we gather to rename this property the Dr. Charles Parrish Freedom Park. I'd like to ask my friend, and we've become very close friends and colleagues since that first summer meeting in 2005, but I'd like to ask my friend and brother in Christ, Dr. Kevin Cosby, to join me. For you see, the University of Louisville and Simmons are partners. We're partners in ensuring that all of God's children have a chance to get a quality education. I was fortunate to have many great mentors, including Woodford Porter and including Wilson Wyatt, who are honored here. And every day as I come to work and enter the Oval, I read the banner, and then I reread the banner that quotes Woodford Porter and his statement to me, Jim, education is the great equalizer. Dr. Charles Parrish Jr. is the link between Simmons College of Kentucky and the University of Louisville that ensures to us that this partnership will never be broken, but grows and gets stronger over time. It's now my great honor to introduce Dr. Kevin Cosby.
Thank you so much. President Ramsey, thank you so much for your friendship. To Ursula Parrish, who we hear from momentarily, who is a part of the first family of higher education, not only at the University of Louisville, but she represents the first family of higher education for African Americans in the South. And we are honored to have you here on our campus. Back in the 20s, when Simmons University was closing as a university, the president at the time, Raymond Kent, said this about Simmons. He said, according to Dr. Blaine Hudson, and I quote him, that Simmons University is a poor excuse for a university. As great as President Kent was, he got that wrong. The fact of the matter is, Simmons was not a poor excuse for a university. The fact is, America was a poor excuse for a democracy, because Simmons was the only avenue open for African Americans who wanted classical higher education opportunities. When Simmons downsized as a university in 1931, a municipal college was established. There were at the time 19 African American professors at Simmons, at the University of Louisville Municipal College. One of them was one of our professors, the son of our president, Charles Parrish Jr., a prominent sociologist. In fact, I hold in my hand a book entitled Negro Youth at the Crossroads. It was written by perhaps the greatest sociologist in American history, E. Franklin Frazier, prominent sociologist at Howard University. This is a book about Negro youth in the 40s in Washington, D.C. and Louisville, Kentucky. In the opening page of this book, Dr. E. Franklin Frazier says this: "A word of appreciation is due first to Charles H. Parrish, instructor in sociology at the Louisville Municipal College for Negroes, who supervised the field work in Louisville and organized the material on the Negro community." Charles H. Parrish, Jr. I did not know about Dr. Parrish until I was a freshman in college, because this was a history that was not told. So often black history has been either forgotten or has been stolen or it has strayed. So most persons are ignorant to the rich history of African Americans. This will be remedied as a result of this park being named after Charles H. Parrish, Jr. And what I am glad most about is that this park is to the east of the Confederate monument, because the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. A new era is dawning in America. The sun is rising for diversity in America, and it is setting for intolerance and xenophobia in this country. Thank you, Dr. Ramsey and the Board of Trustees, for helping to keep the legacy and memory of our professor at Simmons University, Charles H. Parrish, Jr., alive. It is with great honor that I welcome back to this campus and introduce to some a woman who is part of the first family of African American higher education in the United States of America, Ursula Parrish, son of Charles H. Parrish, daughter of Charles H. Parrish, Jr. Ursula, would you come?
To Dr. Benz, Dr. Ramsey, and Dr. Cosby, I will not take much of your time. The faculty and staff and all of the students who are gathered here, my friends, the Hamiltons who have come out, the Honorable Sherry Bryant who is here, and my Omega brothers. In case you were wondering why I was having photographs with them, my father pledged Omega Psi Phi on Howard University's campus in 1917. And that was where Omega Psi Phi came into existence. So I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta. They are my brothers. And thank you all for coming here today. It's hard for me to come home, but I knew that I needed to. I am pleased to be here. In my house, as Kevin said, there was never a day when I was not told as a child, you must always look back to see on whose shoulders you stand. I stand on the shoulders of my father, who was born a slave, who grew up in Fayette County on the Beverly Hicks plantation. I happened to be fortunate enough to have his emancipation papers. And when he told me those stories and made sure that I was very clear about the core values that you talked about, and told me that I need always honor all people at all times, I always paid attention. When Dr. Cosby, and I've never had a chance to thank you publicly, called me one day in 2006 and said, "I need your presence on Simmons campus because we are going home." You will never know how much that meant to me then and how much it means now. Dr. Ramsey, you have stood with Simmons. You have stood with our family. And because I am also an academician, I shared this story with these two gentlemen this morning. Kevin is the 13th president of Simmons, and Dr. Ramsey has been here 13 years. So if you believe in the Most High God, you know that there are no mistakes, and there is a great significance. Thank you on behalf of my mother. Thank you on behalf of my family. My mother became an ancestor on September 7th, a little over 1 week ago. And I knew, and Julie, I don't know where you are. When we began talking, I thank you and every member of the office who made my journey here, which is a very difficult one for me, but who made my journey here possible. I happen to do the same thing that Julie does. I am the executive assistant to the president of the college where I serve. So I do know how much work you do any given day, and I appreciate your facilitating my being here. I will never, ever be able to thank you enough, Dr. Cosby and Dr. Ramsey.
Before we conclude our program, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the oversight team who worked on this project. David Reed and Rob Martin with QK4, Jake Robertson, David James, and Ellen Briscoe with the U of L Foundation. Please join me in a round of applause to thank them.